Hey everyone, Loaded Buggy here, making another Call of Duty commentary. Today, we are talking about something that's kind of been rubbing me the wrong way, if you will. In this modern Call of Duty commentary scene, it's pretty doom and gloom, honestly. I see a lot of videos with a doomer mentality or just a pessimistic outlook on life, or future, or whatever it may be. And it's just something that's kind of been bothering me because, honestly, in this day and age, we're all dealt kind of a crappy hand, if you ask me. In terms of cost of things, cost of living, it's at an all-time high in many different areas, especially when it comes to housing and whatnot. Many different areas of the country, in U.S. in particular, and I'm sure this applies to overseas as well. The cost of a lot of houses in most areas are the highest they've ever been, and the average age for someone to buy their first home has skyrocketed to like 40 or something like that. So it's pretty consistent for a lot of us that we're all going through a hard time. But one thing that's really been bothering me lately in a lot of the videos that I've seen is just this doom and gloom, doomer mindset, this pessimistic mindset that everything's hopeless and there's no way out. When in reality, if we're still breathing, we're kind of doing all right. And there's always hope for things to get better. I mean, if you kind of lock in, you can really make money in so many different ways nowadays. I mean, if we're talking 30 years ago, being in entertainment was really a luxury where nowadays you can go make a TikTok page or go on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And if you post enough and start to build yourself a little bit of an audience, you'll get a little bit of extra money. And that's just, playing video games or just talking, or in many other cases, people reacting to videos. People get paid to record their reaction to other people's work. So in reality, there's just so many different ways you can be making money nowadays, to where the point that there's no hope is really just, it's a pessimistic mindset. And if you really just kind of change your perspective and be like, okay, I might not be able to do this thing right now, but if I work towards this goal, I can still achieve the goal that I want to achieve. You just might not be able to do it in the timeline that you originally thought you may have done it, or the way that our parents before us did it. And beyond that, beyond of what you can achieve by having a more optimistic mindset, the opposite can really take a great effect on you mentally. If you have such a negative and pessimistic outlook on life, it just wears you down. If you're constantly beating yourself up because things aren't going your way or you feel you're not good enough, I mean, it stalls you out in so many different ways. It stalls your progress. It stalls your motivation. It just does so many negative things. And honestly, positivity can really be a mindset. Now, I know life happens, and whenever you kind of are being dealt a bad hand or a rough hand, and you've got things like a domino effect of bad things happening in front of you or to you, it can be really hard to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and put a smile back on your face. I know firsthand. The last 5 or 6 months of my life has been probably the hardest it has ever been in my life, period. I mean, I'm responsible for not only my 2 children, but my wife as the sole provider right now, and we just had lots of financial things that came up that were just beating us up month after month after month. And the thing that I'm having to remind myself now is, whether it's God or the universe, whatever you want to believe it is, there's a plan. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not over. This is just part of your story. And in the Christian world, we call this our testimony. But it's really just your story. And no good story happens from things going right. If you don't have some bumps in the road, if you don't have some adversity to overcome, if you don't have some negative to counteract the positive, then there's really no good story to be told there. There's no real lesson to be learned. And having this nonstop pessimistic doom and gloom mindset really doesn't lead you to achieving anything. It doesn't lead you to achieve happiness. It doesn't lead you to achieve any of the goals that you've set out for yourself, whether they be personal, whether they be in business, or even just mental goals, just trying to get well mentally. When you have such a pessimistic outlook on life, it's really hard to have that motivation to keep pushing forward. Now, I know it sounds so easy to just be like, oh, positivity is a mindset. All you have to do is change your mind and think positively. It's not that easy, and I know it's not. But it's something that you have to practice. And really anything, whether it be working out or mental workouts, if you will, everything takes repetition and practice and discipline. If you're not consistently practicing those things, you're not going to see results. So if you're not trying or even attempting to practice positivity, you're just going to be stuck in that pessimistic rut forever. Everyone has a story, and right now, our story is just very different from what our parents used to be. It was honestly much easier for them in some ways back then, and it's much easier for us now in many different ways as well. There's lots of opportunities in this world, and there's lots of opportunity for growth. There's lots of opportunity for financial growth. There's lots of opportunity for relationship growth. There's just lots of opportunity, but you have to seize the opportunities. Not everything is going to be handed to you. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of this doom and gloom mindset comes from, personally. I feel like a lot of people nowadays just have this expectation that things are going to be handed to them. It's that fast food, Amazon mindset. When in reality, even though some things are even easier to achieve now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, it still requires at least a bare minimum of some work. Everything requires work if you want to achieve them, and that goes with the pessimistic and doom and gloom mindset. If you don't work at removing that, if you don't work at trying to get rid of that pessimistic mindset, then you're just never going to, push the scales in the opposite direction. Life's really hard. I know that just as well as any other person. And it doesn't get easier. Everything comes in waves, everything comes in seasons. And although right now, me and my family are going through a rather difficult season, I know that eventually the storm will cease, the storm will calm down, the waves will stop crashing, and we'll have an opportunity to rest, recharge, and get ready for the next storm. And sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes you have to just keep fighting through the storm and have a positive outlook on life, or at least attempt to, in order to get through that storm, so that way you can finally have rest whenever things calm down. It really takes a lot of work to have a positive mindset, and I know that. And I fall subject to the pessimism sometimes too, whenever the dominoes are falling and everything just seems to be crumbling around me. It's pretty easy to be pessimistic and beaten down. But whenever you make that conscious choice to find something positive amidst all the chaos, it can be really rejuvenating. It can be encouraging. It can be motivating. So back to my point at hand. All these doom and gloom videos about this kind of current Gen Z doomer generation thing, I understand the attraction of the videos. I do. They're relatable because we're all going through the same things, and a lot of the topics that are covered in these videos can be rather, I don't know, they're rough topics, but at the same time, even though they are so relatable, we don't have to, encourage it. We don't have to encourage that behavior. It's like addicts encouraging addicts. An addict can't help another addict. But if you have someone there, or even if you be that person, you make the choice to be that person, to push against the negativity, to push against the pessimism, and try to dig your way out of that hole, you can change generations. You can change a whole community of people. So if you're one of those people out there that are making these Call of Duty commentaries about just the horrible state of Gen Z or the horrible state of the world, and we're all just kind of talking about the same thing, about how awful and horrible it is, I would challenge you that whenever you make these videos, try to find something positive to look forward to, or something positive amidst all that chaos, and include it in your video. Give people a reason to have hope. Give people a reason to feel like they're being lifted up even whenever we're talking about these hard topics or these relatable topics. I don't know, man. It's just been really bugging me lately whenever I see all these videos come through, and it's just doom and gloom all the time, pessimism, and everything's awful. Not everything sucks, and you can really work to make your life better if you so choose. It might not go exactly the way that you think it was going to go, but if you're still here, you're still breathing, then in my mind, you are winning at life. if you've got food on the table and a roof of any kind over your head, you are doing all right. Anyway, had to get that off my chest a little bit, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, and bye now.